Well, we've made it to Thursday here on the Danielle Moodie Show. And for those of you that are new, this is the end of the week for me here. And I got to tell you that I can't think of another week that has felt like this, that has felt so exhausting and demoralizing and just outrageous. And a part of me, and if you guys have been live with me today with Jared, then you know how I've been feeling because I let it go on the check-in. If you were just watching on Substack with Waj for the midweek check-in for Democracy Ish, you know that I absolutely lost it because I really have run out of fucks to give. And I'm in a place this week of deep rage and deep mourning. And that's like a really difficult emotions to hold at one time. And I know that so many of us can't even put words to the feelings that we are having right now. And that's where tears come from or screaming comes from because you can't figure out like what is it? What is the thing? Um And I just want to say that, I turned on my microphone and we're here together. And that is the point of this show. That's the point of this community is to make you feel less alone and less crazy. Because if you're finding it hard to put words to how you are feeling, and if you're finding yourself just breaking down into tears and then looking at other people around you and wondering how come they're not expressing the same emotions and feeling like you're in the twilight zone, you found yourself in the right place. Welcome to the Danielle Moodie Show, dear friends. Let's get into it. I was in a space today, dear friends, where I wasn't even going to put together a show. I was like, I'm just going to turn on the microphone and just start speaking about how I feel. And then I was like, no, no, folks need headlines and they need, stories. But I am going to start off today with talking about the feeling of this moment because I think that it is important. I think it's important to articulate and to have shared space where you can say how you are feeling. And I will say that I feel absolutely sick. I feel sick. I feel grief stricken. I feel a type of rage that I don't think that I even knew I had inside me. Someone said while I was on with Waj earlier in the chat, and I don't know if it's a real person or if it's, a bot or whatever, but they said, I wish Danielle would stop cursing so much. I wish that she wouldn't speak the way that she did. And let me tell you, I've been on air now for, I don't know, 15 years. And I have been told a variation of the same thing over and over again. But today, for some reason, and I've done this before here where I say, I am very clear about the fact that you have a lot of choices. When you turn on YouTube, when you go on Substack, you have a lot of choices in who you decide to listen to and who you decide to follow. And if my level of rage and passion is not your cup of tea, then by all means, go someplace else. But what I am definitely not going to do is going to censor myself or moderate my tone in such a way that doesn't express the seriousness and the trauma of this moment. You see, folks, I knew the first time when Donald Trump was elected because I sat on national television in Canada and I told the Canadian public, which then transferred to the American public after the fact, that this was in 2016 white supremacy's last stand. Now, when I said that, it didn't mean that, oh, then in 4 years, white supremacy was going to be done. No, no. It meant that this is white supremacy's last moment, last gasps to hold on to power, to revive itself because they don't have the numbers, right? It's the reason why they gerrymander, suppress, lie, and steal because they don't have the numbers. But Donald Trump is their last savior. And I said it then very clearly. But there are times when the rage that I feel at the ignorance that this country has shown, when the signs are all there. It's like as if you and your friends are hanging out and you're talking about somebody that you're interested in dating. And then they run through as you're hanging out all of the red flags. And your friend sitting across from you is like, there were like 85 red flags that you just offered up. Why are you thinking about dating this person? He's just like, well, I don't know. Maybe I can fix them. Maybe, they were like that with other people, but they weren't like that with me. And that's how I feel about white folks in America, where it's like it was fine that you wanted to marry the abuser so long as he was abusing everybody else. But now all of a sudden, he's fucking you up just the same way that he was fucking up everybody else. And now all of a sudden, it's like, we got to get rid of the abuser. And this is what I talk about when I talk about a moral bargain that people have made on the backs of other people. And that is where my anger, rage, and cursing comes from. It's not theatrics. It's like, I cannot believe that it has taken such extreme violence that now is at your doorstep, that you are now seeing it. The blood and the guts that now have white skin, that all of a sudden everybody is like, oh, we got to do something about this. What the fuck? We have been telling you, and by we, I mean Black people, and by we, I particularly mean Black women, have been telling you we could spot a red flag and an abuser from fucking football fields away, and said that if this man has the audacity to talk about shithole countries, to talk about Mexicans being rapists, to mock disabled people, to talk about rape in the way that, oh, I wouldn't touch her, she's not my type. If that man could articulate all of those things and that be fine with you because he wasn't talking about you in that moment, you made a deal with the motherfucking devil. And then want to turn around and tell the rest of us in this moment, like, oh my goodness, how could we have known? Oh, I don't know. Maybe if you had opened up your eyes and your ears and actually paid attention to anything else that wasn't just right smack dead in your fucking face. I swear to you, the anger that I have in this moment, my whole body is hot. I cry multiple times a day, on top of turning on a microphone and screaming into the void. People tell me, well, you would have a larger platform. You'd have more subscribers if you just didn't curse so much. If you are too busy policing what it is that I'm saying instead of listening to what it is that I'm saying, then you are part of the problem. Because frankly, at this stage in the game, if you are not outraged, if you are not outdone, if you are not in tears, if you are not just opening a window and screaming fuck so that it reverberates throughout your community, then like you're not paying attention. Because I wish that motherfuckers would have been enraged with me 10 years ago. I wish that people would have opened up their eyes when Donald Trump was asking for Barack Obama's birth certificates. I wish that people would have cared when he called for the execution of Black children. I wish that people would have cared when he was denying Black people and brown people space and homes in his properties, and had literally color coded them in a way to accept whites only. So, folks, like to the people that are waking up now, which I will go through the list of, it's like, God damn. Must shit need to smack you in your face for you to smell it? Must you need to slip into it face down for you to understand that the pile that had been building up in front of your home was indeed shit? Like, good goddamn. But I got to tell you, look, those folks that are here now, right, that are conscious now, I just say to you, I beg of you, please don't go back to sleep. When and if the conveniences ever return, which, by the way, they're not returning anytime soon. And we'll also talk about that today. You see, America created this place of comfort. They called it comfort, but what it really has been is complacency. You know, I went into therapy. God, it'll be about 8 years ago at this point. I went into therapy because I was coming out of a marriage, right? And I was learning a lot about myself as I was coming out of that marriage. A lot about what I was willing to put up with and things that, you know, I shouldn't have, and understanding that at some point you can't just blame the other person. You actually have to look in the mirror. And this is what I'm begging Americans to do now. Like, you can't just blame the Republican Party. You can't just blame Democrats. You got to ask yourself where the fuck you have been. Because this is why I say, this is why I'm screaming. The tactics that are being used right now by ICE are not new. They have just been exercised against the Black community. And now it's becoming something that has been nationalized. But when we talk to you back in Ferguson, the killing of Mike Brown, and we said, holy shit, where did these officers get all of this militarized gear? Is this what our money is going to when the Pentagon now has so much that they say, hey, local police department over here, here's a tank. Here's like bulletproof, you know, full on fits. Here's gas masks. Here's this. But the tactics, I've been talking about the slave catchers, been talking about the fact that the police department, the modern day police department, came out of the slave catching policy that deputized any white male and then rewarded them for catching Black people who were being tortured and abused, and bring them back to that abuser, and they would get rewarded for it. That is what blossomed into the modern day police department. There's a reason, folks, why Black families have to give their children a different set of rules than they do white families. White families have never had to have the talk about how to act, how to keep your hands where a police officer can see them, even if you're being disrespected and spit on and talked down to and punched in the face, that say yes, sir, no, sir, so that you can make it home that day. There have always been multiple realities that are present in America at the same time, different experiences from different perspectives. But the thing is that we chose only to believe what we were seeing, what we were experiencing, and ignore everything else. Black people have been telling white America, don't trust these police. They are lying to you. They are writing reports that are filled with lies. They are beating people in our community. They are killing people. The FBI, the CIA, they are investigating us for wanting to be free and liberated and treated like full citizens. And folks said, no, you just need to behave. You need to comply. Now, decades later, you're seeing the same lies put on white people. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh my God, this isn't the country we knew, because you were comfortable. Like I've been saying, you were comfortable. When the face of crime and thuggery and badness was placed on Black people, they deserve it. We good white people don't. Until you see now the same lies, the same corrupted narrative coming for people that look like you. It is never too late, my friends, to wake up and to become conscious. But don't act brand new as if all of a sudden now, oh, you must jump up and do something. Absolutely. But you should also sit with the reason why you never did anything before. And this is why I say to folks, I need you to actually sit in the shame and to sit in the grief. Don't try and numb it. Don't try and move around it. Go through it, because you'll be stronger on the other side. But there's been too much gaslighting and too much pretending and too much fucking make-believe that has had you believe that the way that the militarized police operations had been weaponized against other communities, well, they were deserving of it. They were deserving of the beatings and the stops and the frisks and the humiliation. So long as it was targeted on those big, bad Black and brown people, you were going to be safe and okay. But we told you that what they begin with us, it will end with you. And that is the moment that we find ourselves in right now. We are indeed at an inflection point, yet another one. And it is now in this country where folks are realizing, oh my God, my whiteness, my wealth, my gun is not going to protect me. That all the laws and this being a free country, that it's only as free as you're willing to fight for it to be. That all of our fates, as Martin Luther King said, are indeed intertwined. And as Toni Morrison said, that racism was a distraction, so it could stop you from seeing how you were too being played by the system. But you see today, folks, yet another massive layoff. 16,000 more people have been laid off by Amazon. And we're not talking about, oh, you're a delivery driver or the factory worker. No, we're talking about middle management. We're talking about them getting rid of the layers that they no longer need because they're investing in AI to replace your ass. So you thought that you were protected with your McMansion and your white picket fence and your good white collar job. So you didn't give a shit when the people below you were trying to unionize. You didn't stand up for them when they weren't getting bathroom breaks and they weren't getting health care because you were okay. And now that monster has worked its way up the chain, and now it's coming for you. But you were fine when it was the blue collar worker. Oh, well, they're lazy. Oh, they should go to school and they should get a better job. Oh, except guess what? Higher ed turned into a motherfucking Ponzi scheme. So now you go to school for that better job. And now you're 6 figures in debt and nobody wants to hire you because guess what? We're not taking entry-level employees anymore because I have Gemini and Chatbot and this thing and that thing that can do the entry-level job for you. So now they tell you to go into a trade. So that 6 figures of debt that you're in, now they're telling you to go become a plumber or an electrician and then go get into those unions that you didn't actually want to pay attention to before. You see, this is what I mean when I say that the shit is intertwined. That it will always come back for you. That's why you should give a shit. You should care when they start erasing curriculum and education in K through 12 schools. You should care when they make targets of the trans child and the queer child. Doesn't matter if you don't know them personally or have a personal connection, because eventually, guess what? They're going to come for your kid too. And that's what they're doing with the book bannings and the changing of curriculums and the going after teachers. It matters when you stand up, because what they do to one group, they will always do to you. So yeah, today I find myself angry. I am angry. I am grief stricken because I'm looking at the people in Minnesota and I'm saying, God damn, they are really trying to make an example of Minnesota. They are really trying to scare people, beat people, and kill people into submission. And all folks keep saying is, well, thank God I'm not there. It's the same thing people said about Gaza. Thank God I'm not there. Let me just keep scrolling. And now the same tactics that the IDF uses in Gaza, they're doing it on the streets of America. And people are like, I don't understand. I don't understand. Because you didn't give a fuck then. I really need us to stop allowing these forces and these powers, the billionaires and the nationalists and these politicians, to stop putting you into boxes. Check this box: white, black, indigenous, female, male, non-binary. Like, stop. We all want the same thing. We are all in literally the same box at the end. We want to live free. We want not to be forced into one way of being, one way of thinking, one religion, one form of education, one form of dress. Ask yourself what it truly means to be free. What's the kind of society do you want? Because they've been telling you what kind of society they're going to give you. You're going to learn what they want you to learn. You're going to read what scripture they want you to read. You're going to do the kind of work that you're assigned to. You're going to produce how many babies they want you to produce. They're telling you. And everything that we do can't be in reaction to them. At some point, we have to start creating and imagining and dreaming what it is that we actually want. We're in the great upside down. America, like this flag defines, an upside down flag is to be a symbol of distress. We are in distress, but we've been in distress. It's just some folks were sitting up higher, a little bit more comfortable than others. I'm telling you, folks, in the next few years, millions of people are going to be out of work. Millions. And these are going to be people with master's degrees, MBAs, Millions of people are going to be out of work. They'll have bachelor's degrees, bachelor's of science degrees, because all of the money that's being thrown into AI is being created to replace you. And it's going to happen so fast that there is going to be no catch up able to happen. What do you think is going to happen when millions of people are not able to afford to live, to exist? Because as they're talking about the creation of AI and how it's going to do all of these magical things and how it's just learning on its own, and we don't even know what it's saying and what it's doing. No one is talking about universal basic income. They're not talking about how they're going to care for all of these people that now are no longer able to care for themselves. And you're not going to be able to blame them for not pulling themselves up from their bootstraps. You're not going to be able to shame them the way that we shame the poor and undereducated. No, these will be people that are your neighbors, that are you, that can no longer find employment right now. I know people that have been unemployed for over a year. These are people with degrees, not a degree. I mean degrees. And they can't find jobs. Folks don't care right now because they're like, well, it's just 300,000 Black women that have lost their jobs. Oh, it's just that the unemployment rate for Black people is at 8.4%. Well, that's not me. Canaries in a coal mine, my friends. Canaries in a coal mine. So we begin today, 26 minutes in, with some of the headlines that I came across. We saw this Representative Ilhan Omar yesterday attacked by a man throwing some type of liquid in a syringe at her. I have not seen the Democratic establishment come out and condemn this attack. I've not seen them stand by her. I've not really seen anybody kind of give a damn. And I got to tell you that the first reaction that I had when I saw it came across my phone, uh, Ilhan Omar attacked, I was like, oh my God, is she dead? Because that's where your mind goes these days. But because, again, the Overton window has been pushed so far, it's like, I remember when any attack on an elected official was like worth conversation. But now, because we're so used to people being either beaten with a hammer or shot to death in their home, or, I mean, Josh Shapiro had the governor's mansion set on fire at the beginning of last year, and folks forgot about that by the time we got to February. That's how we've been primed for this consistent escalation of violence, of political violence. Like, they wanted to tell us, like, oh, Donald Trump, he's just making jokes. Like, oh, it's all, it's all in good fun. It's all fine. Except his followers, who are hyper radicalized, don't take them as jokes. That if you don't check the hateful rhetoric, then it turns into hateful acts. And then it turns into murder. But we're all like, oh, it's just another day in America. Before she was attacked, a week ago, Representative Maxwell Frost was attacked at Sundance. He was punched in the face by somebody who said to him, we're going to deport you and your kind, after they punched him in the face. Have you heard about this story? If this is the first time you're hearing about it, there's a reason why. Because again, we've become desensitized. It's just like now, whenever there is a shooting, and let's say it's a mass shooting, two people die, it's like, woof, at least there wasn't more. What? But that's where we are. That's where we are. So remember, just, over the summer when we were all told that we needed to grieve the loss of Charlie Kirk, that Charlie Kirk was killed, and how dare you bring up any of the things that Charlie Kirk has said in his entire career, that Ezra Klein came out and said Charlie Kirk did politics the right way and all of these things. And then you start seeing the clips of Charlie Kirk and folks start understanding who he was. And then you say, well, at least, like his poor wife and his children, he was married, he had a family, and my goodness, no one should lose their husband or their father. So we should give her our condolences and lift her up. Lord, today, Candace Owens, who I can't stand, who is a handmaiden for white supremacy. But like I said, even a white supremacist clock is right twice a day. Candace Owens leaked audio of Erica Kirk 11 days after Charlie Kirk was killed. I'm going to play it for you because I want you to remember that we were told, and people lost their job for posting things like thoughts and prayers and not really caring, because again, I say you don't get a character makeover because you're dead. How you were in life is how you should be treated in death. Now, I'm not one to tap dance on anyone's grave. He should have been allowed to say whatever, all the nasty, disgusting things that he wants to say, because that's what it means to live in a country that has freedom of speech, so long as that speech doesn't make other people a target, which his speech did. But we were told not to say anything about his wife and her leather pants and the pyrotechnics at his memorial because she's grieving, and we all grieve in different ways. Folks, I want you to take a listen to this. Candace Owens released leaked audio from Turning Point USA, in which Erica Kirk is heard giggling and cheerfully discussing attendance, merchandise sales, and performance metrics from Charlie Kirk's memorial event just 11 days after his death.
Hi, everybody. I still love all these emoji Zoom things. Wow. I don't even know where to begin. The fact that we were able to pull off an event of a century, like, it's just insane. We had over 275,000 people that attended, and the stadium overflow, Westgate, insane, you guys. And then you have, was it 100 million? You guys that heard the gospel and all about Charlie and all about everything that you guys do, and the hard work of Turning Point USA is insane. We had thousands that were registered to vote. I think we're at like over 200,000 for merch sales. Don't quote me on that, because I think it just keeps like bumping up like crazy. But I just wanted to say a huge, huge, huge thank you to the events team, the development team, the graphic design team, the production team. It's just phenomenal. Their incredible work of leading into the memorial. And honestly, a lot of the staff that worked on the memorial, they had 20-hour days for a week during the time of us grieving the loss of my husband. And honestly, I know several staff that didn't even sleep. Again, you guys are breathing angels, and I'm so grateful for all of you. And obviously a huge thank you to the Mosaic team. VI, you guys are 10 out of 10. Like, we have the most incredible team. We just do. And you guys know that, and you guys are all a part of that. And I am so, so thankful. And if you do have a moment and you run into any of those staff members that you know had a role in this, and you know that they put a lot of their time and effort into it, just say thank you. There's something really special to be seen in moments like this, and it's not easy. I'm speaking from experience. I'm right in the trenches with you guys. And so the fact that you just, a simple thank you. I don't care if any of you have beef with each other from the past or have any issues with someone said something about this or that. Like, if you guys have any of that, please put it to rest. My husband's dead. Like, I'm not trying to be morbid, but he's dead. And it puts life into perspective of how short life is, and relationships, and God puts people in your life for a reason, and it teaches you a lesson, it teaches them a lesson. So if you are going through a time where, just lay it to rest, and we are moving forward, Turning Point USA 2.0 with Charlie in our hearts, and that's what he would want.
She goes on to say that they can take paid leave if they need to grieve more, but that Charlie would want them to go full steam ahead. And you did hear her say, he's dead. I mean, I'm not trying to be morbid or anything, but he's dead. So we got to move forward. That was 11 days, not even 2 weeks. I am appalled. Appalled. I don't even know. I don't even know truly. Like, I'm sure all of us have lost loved ones, different, relationship, different, have lost pets, and we grieve longer. She sounded giddy. She sounded beyond excited. They have children. I could not imagine. But this is the person that they told us, "Oh, she's running her fingers through JD Vance's head a month after her husband is in the ground, and we're supposed to look the other way. She's jumping up and down on these stages with her collection plate, and we're supposed to be like, oh, well, her husband would want her to go on." It's disgusting. And what I'm saying is, their sense of morality, folks, you're trying to appeal or shame these people. And this is her, Erica Kirk, less than 2 weeks after her husband's death. You cannot shame the devil. You can't convince these people to have a heart because they don't even give a damn about their own. She can't even pretend to give a damn. The fact that you could utter, I lost one of my close friends about 14 years ago next month. in a tragic accident. And I still cry and think about him all the time. It took me months, months and months to feel normal. So the giddiness, the counting of the money, this was on a call to staff who I'm certain signed up to work for Turning Point USA because they believed in Charlie Kirk and his message. So you can imagine, I would assume, that your boss is shot dead. You might be grieving and feel like stunned. And that's what you hear on the work call? So I don't like Candace Owens. I don't trust her. But my God, thank you for sharing that audio with the rest of us. Because the next time that I want to hear some conservative, some Trump or a MAGA person say, my God, how dare you talk about Erica Kirk like that? She just lost her husband. Run the tape. Erica Kirk don't even know she lost her husband. She don't give a shit. Run her the checks. That's what she cares about. Run her some pyrotechnics. That's what she cares about. Oh, the audacity. The audacity. And speaking of audacity, Krasenstein, I like his reporting, so I put him up every once in a while. MAGA is starting to realize how much they screwed up. Here's a message I got from a friend who voted for Trump all 3 times. Mind you, like, there is no one in my family, and there is not a friend that I could have that would have voted for Donald Trump 3 times, and you and I are still speaking. I'm just saying. But nonetheless, he's a fraud. You were right all along. He is a danger to those who love the Constitution. He stands for a lot of things that I want out of this country, but he doesn't represent me anymore or my values. So Brian is sharing this because he thinks that we're at a turning point. Because I want to remind you who Donald Trump is. This was from today, this morning. So remember, Donald Trump is saying that, oh, I had a really good conversation with Governor Tim Walz, and we're going to find a way to de-escalate and, move out of Minnesota. No, you're not. That's just bullshit. And also, Tim Walz, God bless you. Really enjoyed you during the campaign and your folksy way of being, but you ain't doing shit worth the fucking damn. You really are not. If you think that you're going to sit down with Donald Trump and things are going to change, and because you're going to show that you can be open to listening to a white supremacist Nazi that is murdering people in your street, that, by the way, mocked the killing of Melissa Hortman and her husband and the dog, and has mocked you multiple times, but you think that Donald Trump trading out Bovino for Homan is somehow showing some change or remorse about what's going on in your state? Are you dumb? But if you are, let me share this from this morning. Surprisingly, Mayor Jacob Frey just stated that Minneapolis does not and will not endorse federal immigration laws. This is after having had a very good conversation with him. Could somebody in his inner sanctum please explain that this statement is a very serious violation of the law and that he is playing with fire? Remember when I said earlier in the week, and I believe that it was earlier in the week, or maybe it was late last week, that a judge is looking into the statements? It's Judge Menendez that Kyle Cheney says here. Trump could not have designed a better statement to convince Judge Menendez that Operation Metro Surge is meant to coerce policy changes. Courts have ruled repeatedly that the federal government cannot coerce states to enforce federal law, nor is it illegal for states to decline to do so. And the menacing playing with fire is exactly the kind of statement, retribution is coming, that worked against the administration in court earlier this week. Like, Donald Trump is literally saying all of the quiet parts out loud, just like when Pam Bondi said, oh, maybe we'll remove the ICE agents, the killer militia that we have unleashed on all of you, if you do me a favor, though, give me those voter rolls, and then maybe we'll stop murdering you in the street. That doesn't seem like you're in this Operation Surge for immigration, does it? Seems like you're in it to steal an election. And then every once in a while, we get a reminder of what an actual leader looked like. Barack Obama shares a message. More and more Americans are voicing their outrage at the tactics being deployed by federal agents in Minnesota, but it's important to understand the broader implications of what this administration is doing and the threat it possesses to the basic freedoms of every American. Because what Donald Trump is doing, as Barack Obama is articulating, is using Minnesota as a starting point. It is a petri dish to see just how far he can go and how much more he can get away with. Because you see, this is what happens when there's no accountability. Donald Trump is 10 times worse than he was in his first term. Imagine had he been held accountable. Imagine if we had unwound MAGA when we had the opportunity after Biden was elected and told us that he was going to save the soul of the nation. Imagine if he actually had gotten an attorney general worth a damn and made it his mission to taking down MAGA and actually restoring faith in institutions by prosecuting the person that was dragging this country and our democracy into the gutter. But you see, when you don't, right, hold someone accountable for the crimes that they commit, then guess what? They learn to commit bigger crimes. Because who gonna check me, boo? Nobody. I mean, look at what we're seeing happen with the Fed, right? Jerome Powell came out again. I'll let you listen to what he said because he had a direct to camera and said, Donald Trump is threatening me. And that shouldn't be the way in America. But Donald Trump has been threatening people. He's been threatening poll workers. He's been threatening witnesses. According to Jack Smith, he's been threatening politicians. He's been threatening attorney generals. But you see, nothing has happened to him. So why would he stop at the Fed chair? Why is that a step too far?
Yes, thank you. I wanted to ask that, you attended the Supreme Court hearing last week on the Lisa Cook case, and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent criticized that as political. Can you say why you attended and what you would say in response to the Secretary's criticism?
So let me start with, I don't respond to comments by other officials, whoever they may be. It's just not appropriate to do that. I will tell you why I attended. I would say that that case is perhaps the most important legal case in the Fed's 113-year history. And as I thought about it, I thought might be hard to explain why I didn't attend. In addition, Paul Volcker went to a Supreme Court case famously in, I guess, 1985 or so. So it's precedented, and I thought it was an appropriate thing, and I did it.
But again, Donald Trump has been threatening people. Donald Trump has been moving the needle on what has been acceptable for 15 years now. But because nothing was done, because no real deep action was taken, we're here. And by the way, Jerome Powell says that this case is the most important case in the 160-year history of the Supreme Court. I would beg to differ. I would maybe say at this point, Citizens United might have been the most important fucking case. Because had that been decided in our way, then Elon Musk wouldn't have been able to buy a president. Nonetheless, more and more people clearly waking up slowly and slowly, but my question is it too late? A focus group of Biden to Trump voters conducted after the Preddy killing paints a very bleak picture for the president. It's only a bleak picture, mind you, if you are betting on people voting for you and betting on a democratic process. But if you are actually hedging your bets on martial law and a national takeover, then you don't really care. Nonetheless, I will show you what some of these folks have said. So here is a Biden to Trump voter. And then there was Rex, the 55-year-old from California, a Trump supporter hailing from a reliably blue state. He said that his politics had caused him no shortage of personal disruption. I lost friends in my family. I lost friends that are here in San Francisco. I mean, literally. I mean, my mom didn't speak to me probably a month after the vote. But 1 year later, he seemed increasingly open to the possibility that it had all been for naught. Trump also sort of red-pilled me, man. Got me all like excited. He's going to clear out the swamp and he's going to take down the deep state, and had me all excited for a lot of these things, Rex said. But with Trump, I just felt like he was the biggest rug pull in history. I feel completely betrayed because you're a fucking idiot. That's why. And what I noticed about Rex's statement is that Rex takes no responsibility. It's like he was red-pilled against his will. It's as if the phone that he has in his hand is just for video games and whatever, and that it has no function like real news or understanding policy or educating yourself in any way. It's as if he doesn't want to take responsibility for the fact that he's most likely a misogynist and a xenophobe and a racist and all of these other things. He had the biggest rug pull in history. Yeah, if you're a fucking idiot. But this is the point, is that these people feel like they don't have to take accountability or responsibility for their actions or their thoughts that would lead them to Donald Trump in the first place. That man didn't come looking for you. You were sitting there wide open and ready for anybody that was going to espouse the kind of hateful bullshit that was going to make you feel like a man. And now you're duped. Then there's this person, Ramiro, 57, of Florida. Said he voted for Trump knowing full well the ex-president's volatile history. Having lived in New York, and he read about Trump back when he was just a gallivanting real estate tycoon, prone to scandal and big business deals that often got front page treatment in the New York Post. Which is to say, Ramiro wasn't duped into voting the way he did. He was clear-eyed about it. But it hasn't gone as he hoped. He pointed to the administration's handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Quote, "It's almost like it's wag the dog," he explained. "It's a distraction to avoid attention from another thing. But its distractions make things even worse. Like, Minneapolis is crazy. They killed that young man. They killed that young lady a couple of weeks ago, too. They're out of hand." Ramiro also noted that Trump is less focused on the economy than he'd hoped. His main priority, I think, for the last couple of months has been the Nobel Peace Prize, which is ridiculous. So this guy, he even admits to knowing full goddamn well who Donald Trump was. But he chose him anyway, and now is still shocked that all the things that he knew about Donald Trump turned out to be true. You can't make this shit up. And maybe it's this. Maybe it's the thing that we all told you, that Donald Trump wasn't going to bring prices down, that he was only going to amend taxes for the rich. But once again, no, people didn't listen.
Because the economy and inflation ate Joe Biden's presidency alive, and now it is eating Donald Trump's presidency alive. I mean, just take a look here. Net approval rating on the economy. You go back to this point in the Joe Biden presidency, he was 19 points underwater. You go into Donald Trump's presidency, hey, he started off in the positive territory at plus 6 points, but down he goes, down the...
Mind you that Joe Biden was negative 19 in January of 2022 as he's coming off of a Trump COVID economy, right? And trying to breathe life back into it. So let's just be clear about the numbers.
Slide into the ocean, he goes negative 20 points. Donald Trump is actually in slightly worse position right now in the economy than Joe Biden was in this presidency. And of course, Joe Biden, as I said at the top, the economy ate his presidency alive. And right now, it is eating Donald Trump's presidency alive.
A lot of the focus the last few days, understandably, has been on the immigration crackdown. Is that what Americans want to see?
No, this is the whole thing. You know, why is Donald Trump going into Iowa right now? And it is because of this. I mean, Trump administration is focusing too little on lowering prices. The vast majority, 3 in 4 Americans say he's focusing too little on lowering prices. That's why he's going into Iowa. What is he focusing too much on? He's focusing too much on deportations at 53%. The Americans want to focus on the economy and lowering prices. They don't want on the deportations. And right now, they think it's flipperoo. And that's why Donald Trump, again, going into Iowa, trying to flip that script, a script that right now the American people do not like.
Full disclosure, I cheated and actually read ahead on this presentation. This next slide, I think, is the most interesting. What do we know about when presidents aren't doing well with the economy, how that affects the midterms?
I'm going to forgive John for skipping ahead here, but the audience will follow along with the lesson plan as it was supposed to be told. Take a look here. The president's party, the average midterm House seat loss. If the president's net approval rating on the economy is positive, which Donald Trump isn't, you keep your House seats lost to a minimal, right? You lose about 9 seats on average. If it is negative, the president is not liked on the economy. If his net approval rating in the economy is negative, as it is right now for Donald Trump, look at the average House seat loss. It's a 28-seat loss on average, which would wave adios amigos, goodbye, see you later, that a House majority, and it probably would put the Senate majority in danger as well. When a president is seen negative on the economy, his party suffers. Big league, to put it into President Trump's language, big league when it comes to the midterm election.
And that's just negative. That doesn't even account for negative 20 on the economy. All right, going to Iowa, there will be an open Senate seat there. What are the prediction markets saying about that seat?
Okay, so if you know anything about Iowa, recent politics in Iowa, right? The president won it by double digits. He's won it all 3 times. There has not been a Democratic senator that was a non-incumbent Democrat to win an Iowa Senate seat since 1984. The chance that the GOP wins in 2026. A year ago, to win that Senate seat, it was 81%. Now it's down to 66%. Look, that's still a majority chance, but in a state that Donald Trump won by double digits, that foreshadows big problems coming into the midterm election.
And also, just a reminder, and I think I played this video yesterday, that Iowa had a couple of seats in the off-cycle election of 2025. And out of the 5 seats, 3 went to Democrats. That was never heard of in Iowa. And why is that? Because their farmers are being hammered with the tariffs. They're losing their jobs. They're losing their health care. And they're looking around and saying, oh, this man who we voted for in double digits is actually screwing us. And he's not even trying to help us because he's too focused on deportations and beating people and murdering them in the streets. The other group of people who is feeling, so bad, who I just could not give a fuck less about, the Latinos for Trump crowd. Like, in all honesty, could you think of a dumber group? And I say that because the man held up at rallies mass deportation signs. He talked ill of people in your community. But once again, not to paint with a broad brush, but the white Latinos, right? The Cubans, right? Down in Florida, they didn't think Donald Trump was talking about them. They came here the right way. They thought that he was talking about those other people, the Mexicans. Well, we're not Mexican. The Central Americans, we're not Central American. Do you think that Donald Trump has any ability to distinguish one accent from the next, one country from the next? So take a listen to how their minds are being blown right now.
I'll give you a baseline, and I'll just say there has been a massive backlash against the President of the United States among Latino voters, because what are we talking about here? Well, let's just take a look at Trump's net approval rating among Latinos. You know, you go back a year ago, right at the beginning of his first term, wasn't too bad, right? About 5 points underwater. A lot of Republicans would really like that. But take a look where we are today. Over a 20-point decline, now down to negative 28 points, Donald Trump's net approval rating among Latinos. A much larger drop we've seen among Latinos than we have seen among the American electorate overall.
What about the deportation program, though?
Yeah, okay, so what is causing this, right? There have been a lot of things in which the American people dislike Donald Trump more than they did a year ago. But among Latinos, they really
That's what's driving all that.
That is a big driver of what's going on here. Trump's net approval rating among Latinos on his deportation program. Look at this. You go back a year ago, according to the CBS News YouGov poll, he was right at even, right? As many people approved as disapproved. Again, that's really good numbers for Republican among Latinos. But look at where we are now. 34 points underwater. There has been an over 30-point shift away from Donald Trump among Latinos on his deportation program. What we have seen among Latinos is a drop overall, much of which is being driven by how they are viewing his deportation program. I saw one of the founders for Latinos for Trump the other day say immigration is going to cost Republicans during the midterm elections. And when you look at numbers like this, you have to say, hey, she's coming from the numbers, because the numbers agree with that. Latinos do not like what Donald Trump is doing on his deportation program, and it is driving his overall numbers down. Look at this. I mean, you rarely ever see a 35-point decline over a year, but it is happening with Trump among Latinos on his deportation.
And if that wasn't bad enough, as we close out today. So, got Latinos turning on Trump, which should have never been in his corner in the first place. You got the folks of Iowa starting to wake up and say, oh, well, we voted for him, but we thought that he was going to make gas cheaper and eggs cheaper, and now we can't afford any goddamn thing. I want you to listen to this on Fox Business about what is happening to the dollar right now and where the predictions are for what is to come.
The world is now pulling the rug out from under the U.S. The dollar is going to collapse. The dollar is going to be replaced by gold. Central banks are buying gold to back up their currencies. True. They're getting rid of dollars. They're getting rid of treasuries. We are headed for an economic crisis, again, that will make the 2008 financial crisis look like a Sunday school picnic. The biggest difference between the crisis that we're about to have and the one we had back then is this one is all in America. It's not going to be exported to the rest of the world. It's not a global financial crisis. It's an American financial crisis.
And if you see her, because this was Fox Business, that the host was trying desperately to be like, well, not agree with him. And, oh, well, I guess you're right about that. But, like, just, you could see how uncomfortable she was about the reality that he was offering, which was Donald Trump is going to cause an economic calamity that is only going to be experienced in America. And that you have already seen, as Donald Trump was fucking around with talking about annexing Greenland and invading Greenland and this, that, and the other thing, that European banks were canceling their bonds, meaning that they no longer see America as a good bet, as a sure thing. The value of the dollar has already gone down. I want to say it's been 15 percentage points since Donald Trump came back into office. Like, when folks are like, oh, now they want to wake up and now they realize they're, worse off now than they were a year ago. Folks tried to tell you. They tried to tell you. And then when you see finally shit like this, I mean, the dam is breaking. But I will say, much like I said back on television in 2016, this is white supremacy's last gasps. This is, and I will tell you, it is going to get bloodier before it gets better. It is going to be a lot more painful before we see any glimpses of progress. But the people are truly, that were in Donald Trump's corner, 1,000%, are starting to slowly walk away from him. This being one.
They're discrediting what I consider to be a very well-organized operation in ICE, but they're discrediting even these officers. They're going to make their job more difficult and more dangerous with this incompetence that I'm seeing out of Noem and out of Stephen Miller.
The president called you a loser, I believe.
I am thrilled about that. That makes me qualified to be Homeland Security Secretary and Senior Advisor to the President.
Yikes. Yikes is right. Because, you see, he didn't just throw Kristi Noem under the bus. He actually went for the architect of the lie narrative, which was Stephen Miller, who is the architect of all of this. So while Tillis loves the operation that is happening, he doesn't really want to see it. He doesn't want to see skulls being cracked. He doesn't want to see mothers being murdered. He doesn't want to see white men being shot, because then he has to explain that. So what he really wants is for it to just stick with the blacks and the browns that he can sell to his constituents. But when Donald Trump now is talking about taking away everybody's guns, and white men are starting to see that, wait, maybe I'm not safe, then all of a sudden it's a problem. And so when you start to lose the people that were flying their MAGA flags real high and were chirping your talking points, you're in trouble. And I want folks to understand that's why they want the voter rolls. That all of this, literally smoke and mirrors, all this show that they're doing, it is about coercion. All of this that they're doing, whether it's invading Venezuela, attacking Iraq, threatening Iran, threatening the citizens of Minnesota, all of it is to avoid the Epstein files. And all of this, the smoke, the mirrors, the brutality, is to avoid an election. Donald Trump knows that the end is near, and probably in more ways than one. So just know that things, when the monster feels like they're about to lose, that's when they're the most dangerous. So pay attention. That is it for me today, dear friends, on the Danielle Moodie Show. As you know, I am live Monday through Thursday, 5 p.m. Eastern, on here and on my Substack, The Damn Digest. Folks, if you are looking for a way to support my work, you can hit that little $sign and give as little as 90 cents or as much as you are able to. But know that my work never will go behind a paywall. I keep it free. So check to make sure that you are actually subscribed to this channel right now if you are watching. If not, hit the bell and subscribe. It costs you nothing. And make sure to comment, make sure to like, and make sure to share these episodes so that it gets into as many feeds as possible. But do make sure, because a lot of people watch the show, but I'm not sure everyone is subscribed. Make sure that you hit that bell, that you are subscribed. And before I get out of here, I want to thank the super stickers and super thanks. Our great moderator, Susan, thank you so much for the $10. Claire, coming in so generous. I really, really appreciate the $100. Done with this. Me too. I say that all the time. $20. Appreciate you. Soka, for gifting a membership. Appreciate you. Learning for gifting 5 memberships to the Danielle Moodie channel. Thank you so much. Done with this again at 25. Appreciate you. Norma with $5. Thank you so much. Toby, Corey, $4.99. Corey became a member for 3 months. Thank you so much. Soka for $9.99. Real Talk for $5. Jack, thank you so much for the $5. Real Talk for $2. And Henry, thank you so much for the $20. Folks, this is independent media. I am people powered. And so every dollar that you offer my way allows me to do the work that I do. So I want to thank each and every single one of you so much for showing up. I appreciate you. The Danielle Moodie Show will be back on Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern. In the meantime, Democracy-ish will be live tomorrow at 12 p.m. Eastern. Do make sure that you check out my Substack. The midweek check-in is over there with Wajahat. And folks, as always, power to the people and to all the people power. Get woke, stay sane, and in these extraordinarily, extraordinarily dangerous times, dear friends, do stay safe. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, get rest, hydrate, find you some joy, hold on to it, because it is going to be a long road ahead. I will see you guys tomorrow back here, 12 p.m. Eastern, with my co-pilot, Wajahat Ali. Be well.